that can be used by districts across the state. But the state, before making those recommendations, didn't do a full procurement. And so we're kind of behind the eight ball and trying to lean into helping the state, helping all the districts in the state actually have access to a well-priced assessment system here. So this was an opportunity for ESDs to actually jump in and help out because we have some procurement muscle and do some regional work, obviously, for our school districts. So Northwest, along with Intermountain ESD, Multnomah, and Clackamas, also took one of the adopted assessments, and we're working hard to negotiate pricing with, on our side, it's the iReady assessment. So I just wanted to shout out to Jordan Ely over there. He's kind of doing the hard, brass knuckles negotiating there with that company. But also Megan Logan and Brian Bain are both working on that project. And it's a lot of work and the timelines are tight. So, and the stakes are high because everybody in the state needs to buy one of these assessments. So we are working fast and furious to get some pricing. We think we'll get it at the beginning of next week, and off we go. As the board knows, you adopted a new strategic plan. And so we know it starts in full in our rollout in July as we're sunsetting the current plan. But there's a lot of work between now and then to make sure that we're actually doing things within the agency that drive these strategies deep into our organization and make them actually livable and actionable things rather than words on a page. And so right now, the full administrative council is working systematically to develop annual metrics that will basically be the formative measures as we go through a multi-year strategic planning process. And so these annual targets are going to serve as the foundation for our action planning, which we've done a lot of work with the board to help you understand how we actually take these strategies and have teams do continuous improvement cycles. So the work that is being done is an important step in making sure that we can have the strategic plan live and breathe in our schools. So we're excited about that work, and there's going to be a lot for us to do. And then in the summer session with the board, we plan to bring some progress and kind of show the board what we're planning to get after for the single year coming up. I put a bunch of things in here around conferences, things that I thought the board might be interested in attending in the next couple of weeks. And one is our cafe conference on April 29th. We've talked about in the past, so I'm not going to read the whole shabam here, but it is right upon us, and it's a great conference that's led by students. Lawaru and his team do a fantastic job getting students prepared to lead, and it's just like awesome to watch kids take control of a whole day, talk to adults. It's very empowering for the kids and actually for I think for the educators and adults and on the audience. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then on May 12th, we are doing, I think it's our third now. I think it's our third annual conference that is on artificial intelligence through a partnership with Multnomah ESD, Clackamas ESD, and University of Portland. And this year, we're really focusing on student voice again here and amplifying human intelligence as the technologies around us really start to speed up in their development and their impact in all kinds of settings, including in our schools, of course. We wrote a bunch here. I wanted to make sure that the board had access to the regional newsletter and just to kind of get a sense of all the broad ways in which the ESD is impacting not just our schools, but in our early learning settings and also in our post-secondary. So we've the last message that went out had things including our CTE work with our CTE educators who are often really under supported in school districts because they're singletons. Like there's one person doing like mechanical CTE work and nobody at the district office can support them. So they're kind of singletons and left out on their own a lot. So our team is working to pull people together and actually give them the support that they need to be effective in the K-12 environment, and a whole host of other things. I did write about the ninth grade success network here a little bit. Beyond what's written in the written report, our team is traveling back right now from a large national conference. They have been being held up as a model in the country for how to engage students in continuous improvement design in schools. And so how to elevate student voice. It's really exciting work. And, it's a big focus of ours, obviously, is to get students engaged and in charge of their educations. All right. So some bad news and then a little bit better news. So the board knows we had a number of things that happened over the long session that underfunded certain programs that are very important to the ESD. One of those is our outdoor school program, our Northwest Outdoor Science School. As the board knows, it's the largest outdoor school. We're the largest outdoor school provider in the state of Oregon. And despite our best efforts on advocacy and trying to get a fix here in the short session, the legislature did not fix this 20% reduction that we experienced. So 20% reduction is, we made up for it 1 year by spending down reserves. We can't do that again. So now it's really, our choices are to cut days of programs, so less service for kids, cut the number of camps that we work with. So that's a big impact to these large camps that we in businesses, and the food service and all the things that come under that, and to shorten up basically shorten up the season, and staff reductions. And so we have to do all those things in order to balance the budget and to make sure that we still can run a program that districts can afford and will pay for. So in general, what that's going to look like is a 3-day program rather than a 4-day program. So a 3-day, 2-night program for kids. And we will still have an option. We believe we'll be able to provide an option for a 4-day program, but very few school districts have indicated that they are willing to pay for that. So we'll see, but that's our current program right now, is a 4-day program. So we're looking at a 3-day program. We are looking at reducing a campsite. And of course, we also have to then reduce our staff footprint. And so we're not exactly sure what the magnitude of that reduction will be, because school districts still have time to tell us how many, if they're actually going to participate with us, if they're going to purchase slots. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. But I do want to, put the board on notice and our staff that we are in the unfortunate predicament of a likely reduction in force related to this program. And lastly, a little bit happier news. We had a really nice event last week at Miller Nash for our annual foundation fundraiser. Chris is your board rep there, and there was a lot of people there on the board. It was really, really fun. It was a beautiful event. I think they did really well. I haven't heard the numbers yet. $22,000 was raised. So that's fantastic. And I just put as a blurb here, like what really the foundation primarily does with those funds is they turn them around to in a grant process for teachers to do innovative things. And mostly it's for teachers who are trying to do innovative things around kids in special education and who have significant needs to close gaps in their education. So it's a really cool group of people who do amazing things and give a lot. And it was a really nice experience. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and for giving of their own money. I know there was a lot of that too. So appreciate that. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for the superintendent about the report? All right, thank you very much. Well, next order of business is recognition and good news. And so we're going to be hearing from the Juntos program. Kelsey? Yes. The Oregon State and.
Yeah.
You can do the button. Looks like it turned green. Good evening, Chair Timchuk and members of the board. I have Natalie here with the Juntos program with us this evening. It's a position and role that's partially supported through the Tillamook Education Consortium, our county collaboration of school districts. And so she was recommended to us by Misty, who spoke warmly of all the good things that's happening with Juntos in the county, and Natalie provided these lovely photos of some of the work, but I'll let her talk a little bit more about what it is she is doing with students in this region.
Thank you. I have been serving this county with the Juntos program for almost 6 years now. I think it'll be 6 years in September, if I did the math right. I work within the schools, within the high schools primarily, to help students with financial aid applications, college applications, scholarships. I've been reading a lot of essays in the last couple months. Homework, sometimes they need help with their homework, so clubs kind of vary, and sometimes it's advising, sometimes it's fun, culturally relevant activities and programming for them. I support the schools, the counselors with their financial aid programs and family nights to make sure all the students are getting the support that they need. And then in the summer, as you can see, we have a summer program for students. It's an 8-week summer program, fully developed in Spanish for students here in the county. So we bring in incoming freshmen through graduating seniors. So those new freshmen are able to meet some students that are part of this program and have friends when they arrive at the high school that fall. We have had a mix of different programming. We've done some kayaking. We've learned about phytoplankton. We've done multiple different kinds of kayaking trips and learned about forestry, birds. We've brought in different STEM professionals who are also Latino to talk about their experiences growing up and going through higher education and how they got into those positions that they're in. A lot of the students have really enjoyed it, and they've started to remember a lot of the faces that have come to visit them every year and always have more questions. And there's been a couple who want to intern or work with some of these professionals in the future. Their biggest goal is to go skydiving, which I told them was a hard pass. Told them I'll take them kayaking, but the skydiving is off the table for them. I did bring some reports from that I had at the last tech meeting from 2025. If you guys would like to see those, but if you guys had any questions for me.
Well, thank you so much for that update and that presentation. I'll start off with the questions about how many, it sounds like you have several different ways in which you engage with the students, from kayak trips to, but about how many students do you think that the program engages with in a year?
In a year, we get about 40 to 45 students. A lot of them are returnees that just kind of keep going and keep participating in everything they can get into.
Great. Are there any other questions? Paul?
I have a comment more than a question. I'm fortunate I get to work with Natalie fairly closely in my day job here, and the program has been not only, I think, important for our area high schools, which the superintendents and principals can speak to that, but it's done a lot, I think, in helping create a college going culture with the students, and we have seen the benefits of that here from that. So I thank you, Nat, for that work. And I just want to comment, a few years ago with an employee that we shared with Oregon State Extension, Nat and this employee ran Juntos over the summer, and I don't know how many kids there were that did the college, the CG 100 class. You know how they got college credit for the work that they were doing in the summer, and it just was amazing to see them see themselves as being able to be in that college going group. So it's really empowering. So thank you for the work you do, Nat. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, Dorian.
Just want to say thank you, and that I really deeply value identity affirming programs. And I think that especially now, having affinity groups are more important than ever. So thank you for the group, for the work that you're doing. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you so much for coming this evening and
The
presenting
real
this.
reason we brought you here is to give you some ESD swag. So that's for you. Thank you for your work. And I'd love to get a photo of the board, maybe with our other board members up front there. I like it with the logo, but there's a bunch of trash.
It's not trash.
It's not trash, it's dinner. How dare you?
I could have said We gotta move that into this space for that in. Let's use big Doug.
Me too. Lifting back up so we don't see that.
Oh, okay, wow.
You want the taller person, want me back there, so.
They're Stuart's fixing it, so it'll be good. Who's coming in front of the boardroom? No, where's the boardroom camera pointing in?
Right now, I'm pointing at somebody at somebody's back.
Is it mine? Oh.
There.
Oh.
Wait, another one. Okay.
Only so much I can do.
I'll have to use some editing. Okay. So now I have a picture of me taking a picture. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll do one more in case it blinks. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you guys.
All right. Wish you could just totally help me. Okay, our next order of business is public comment. Board Secretary, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Thank you very much. All right, moving right along here. Next order of business is the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, on to reports and discussions. And our first one is the Northwest Regional ESD balcony and client management system. This was interesting to read, so I am anxious to hear Megan and Stuart.
Share the screen.
Yeah.
We had it better. We do. I can work on that.
I'll do a quick introduction.
Sure. Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Directors. It's great to see you. Thanks for having Stuart and I back again this month. We're very excited to update you on the Balcony CRM, our customer relationship management software that we have been building. If you remember back to some other presentations I've given around how we capture the impact our service has across our region, we used to use a lot of spreadsheets. And I often would give you guys screenshots that was like, yes, Beaverton is, engaged in whatever service. And then we moved into like, how engaged are they? And it was like highly engaged, somewhat engaged. I think even you guys asked me at times, well, what exactly constitute like, moderately engaged? And so this is what Stuart and I have been trying to work on, which is like, how do you actually show the impact and like what an ESD does for the region that it serves?
And this is tricky because ESDs are relationship-based organizations, right? Everything we do, whether that's training, whether that's delivering work services in partnership with our districts, whether that's convening districts together, as in job alikes or the superintendent's meetings or countywide meetings, or even working statewide executing on behalf of OESD, right? Every single way that we work with our partners, whether that's at a local or a state level, is through the relationships that our teams build across the state. And so the tricky thing for that historically is that relationships are incredibly difficult to measure, right? We have 60 services across the ESD. And so if you combine that with the fact that relationships are incredibly difficult to measure, we get really inconsistent results. And so you get a really difficult way to measure ESDs holistically, right? It's been very spotty. It's been very qualitative, There isn't the great quantitative data that we can point to and go, other than a survey result that says, yes, we are doing exactly what our districts need, or the state needs, or our state organization partners need at any moment. And so our goal with this system is to do something that the private sector has actually already figured out how to do. And so for that, they have this piece of software. It's probably most popularly known as Salesforce, customer relationship management. I would imagine Ernst is nodding his head furiously right now. But it is all about tracking relationships and for the purpose of selling services and products. They track all client contacts. So if you speak with a salesperson at a conference or you take their business card after a meeting, everything that you do with them is going back and being logged. And they're measuring that and reporting on it for both lead generation for selling their product, but they're also reporting on it to see whether you're actually going to be a potential sales in the future, and they're going to put you into a particular queue. But that's not exactly what we need, right? We don't have informed sales teams. We don't build channel integrated sales funnels. We don't do conversion metrics, right? These are not the language of ESDs or education, right? This is the language of business, and this is the language of Salesforce. And so when we went out and looked at the market, we looked at Salesforce, and it's just not really built to serve education, right? We're not closing sales. We're helping districts and the kids that they serve. And so we wanted to do something a little different and build something around what we need, right? Because we want to streamline processes and data collection, right? Which is what Salesforce does, but they do it in the eyes of quarterly sales and profits. We want to strengthen our relationship with our districts and our partners, right, throughout, and want to be able to demonstrate value. We want to be able to show that both our work is aligned with their work strategically, both through the work that our teams are doing to back up their integrated guidance work and their Student Success Act, and then be able to really put numbers and metrics behind that. And so we really want to do it in a way that presents actionable data for all of us, Dan, Megan, myself, any leader in the organization, to be able to make really action-informed, data-informed decisions. So with that, this is our version of a CRM, and we'd like to show you a little demo of what that looks like. And so I'm going to step away and bring up CRM so Megan can drive.
While Stuart is pulling this up, I know a couple of you actually, when I presented at board meetings for the LSP with Dan, and I know a couple of you, it was really great this year because I was able to like pull up the CRM and click into that district, and I'll show you how I did that. And then that's how I was able to say like, oh, okay, we've provided, like at Tiger Tualatin, I think it's something like over 1,000 hours of service specifically in the area of early literacy to over 50 educators in that district. Which is just like a really different conversation to be able to have with component school districts than what we previously were, which is like, yes, you're engaged with us in that area. So, okay. I just see Doug twice.
You're not seeing.
I mean, Doug is
And
lovely
Doug
to see you
is gonna help
twice.
us. Yes.
I was like, I'm ready. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, sweet. I'm in here. Okay. So I'm going to start actually with this dashboard, which is more of our internal dashboard. And let me reset this. Okay. Maybe we'll start with the admin dashboard and then we'll come back to that one. Okay. So we've built out kind of two different dashboards. One is more useful kind of internally. I'll show you how you can click through and filter for different things. This is what I was using when we were doing the LSP presentations, just to get a snapshot of like what's our impact and what are we actually doing with an individual school district. So for example, I can go to Neocani, and I'm able to see, actually, I'm going to go to Tiger because they're a little bit bigger. So there's a few more things. Up top, you'll be able to see a little more functionality. So here's Tiger. There's a snapshot up top. This is our SPED footprint in that district. So it tells you how many classified staff, how many licensed staff we provide. licensed hourly. And then these slots are slots in our social emotional learning schools. And you can actually click into here. So if we're out visiting Tiger Tualatin, and we can see like these are all of the different licensed positions that we're providing in terms of special ed in that district. And then I can close that. And similarly, you could also click into the slots area and we can see the slots that they have purchased and how many at each of our different SEL school programs, also our deaf of hard of hearing classrooms. So any of those special education spots where they're purchasing slots. And then if you come down here, this basically shows our suite of professional learning and how they've engaged. No, I know this looks like some of these are really low. They only look really low because early literacy is really, really high. So in a scaled version, it looks off. Because this is over 1,000 hours here with 154 different educators that they've engaged. If you come down here, I mean, ninth grade success, they've still done a lot of work here, over 149 hours with 27 different staff members. So you can see that and to see where they're engaging by how much. And if we go down, we also have our early learning evaluations in here for birth to 5. So you can click in here, you can see how many evaluations per month. If you wanted to know what type of evaluations, you can click in and it will bring up what type of evaluations and how many were completed in that month. And I'm not going to do this now, but you can click into an evaluation list and actually see which students were evaluated and what happened there. Let me close it. And then below this, we've also built in this area, which is actually looking at our integrated guidance, integrated programs work. And so we know districts talk to you as many times about the different plans that they have to do, and they put out some specific strategies that they're working on that are going to help them move student outcomes. And we've worked in the past, and I've shown you guys some of that work of how we're crosswalking, like what are districts' priorities, and then how do our services align with the things that districts are working on. And so this has that work on the back end. So now we're able to pull up and select like, okay, ninth grade on track and graduation rates. This will pull up this. They have Tiger Tualatin has 2 strategies around that specifically. And then it aligns the hours and participants that they've been working with us on that aligned work. So you can see how we're aligning to their priorities and how much work they're doing with us in those different areas. And then down here is there. This is a summary overall of any PD support we've provided that aligns to any of their priority areas from their integrated programs plan. So this is kind of how we're able to look at and see a snapshot for a district, something Dan can use to talk to superintendents, or I can use, or Stuart, any of us can use if we're out in a district looking there. And I'm going to see if this is resetting now. I hope it is. What do we have selected here? Okay, well, it wasn't resetting, but I think if we do this, and RESD, and then districts, I just want to take out. Usually it has us in it though. Let's take us out. Okay. So now this is more of kind of an internal data analysis dashboard for us to be able to use to look at like how reflect on our service and reflect on our planning. And there's different ways to kind of filter through depending on who you are and what you're looking for. So this initial snapshot just shows you, this is total hours of support provided for all of our districts. So you can see, you know, Beaverton looks really high. They're also our biggest district. So I would also expect them to be higher. There's more people there that we're working with. So the total hours that are adding up is going to be higher. So this gives you total hours. Over here is total engagements, and it also separates it out by these different categories. Was it a check-in? Was it a coaching conversation? Was it professional development? And we've also down here have the unique number of participants we've worked with. And this is in person and virtual. We don't use that quite as much, but it is there. From here, I'm then able to be like, okay, I want to see more about how Beaverton is engaging with us. And I could click into Beaverton, and then I can actually click down to the school level, and it will show me the different schools in Beaverton and how many hours of support we've provided each of those schools. It has all those similar graphs that we had on the first page. So it has number of participants and number of engagements, number of participants. So you can see there. More specifically, if I'm like, whoa, I want to see Aloha High School. What are they doing? So I can click into Aloha High School. And I can even click down to who have we engaged in Aloha High School. And so now I know which staff members we've been working with at Aloha High School. And so you're able to kind of click in and see who's engaging, by how much, and how that's going. The other thing that you can also do is you can look instead, if you're not wanting to look at things by a specific district.
Go back to district tab.
Being a little slow here.
Or maybe it's has a bug.
It doesn't like me right now. I was just doing this on my computer and it was working great. Just going to click. This is all I know to do with tech. You like click it off and then you click it back on. And you turn it off and you turn it back on. Okay, so we got, let's see. Oh, one back there. Okay, let's try the dashboard again. Okay, it just likes taking me here, Stuart. Do you have like a default? Let's see, district, schools, services. Okay, let's click all services. Got us, I can get us back in here. This is the last thing I'll show you all. Thank you all for your patience. So, okay, here's back where we started. Let me again take Northwest Regional out of here. This just also tracks, we have staff who attend some of the PD as well. Okay, so back here, the other thing I can do instead is by looking across all of what we're doing, instead of sorting it by district, I can actually sort it by service. So now I'm able to look in, and if I'm, Ryan, who leads instructional services, or Adam, who leads school performance and workforce development, those are mainly the programs we have in here right now. I can look and I can see the total. I lost the mouse. There we go. I can look at the total amount of service. So here is early literacy. Here's 9th grade on track. I could click into one of these and then get down to more specifics as well. So now it's filtered specifically for that service. And then I could look at, districts specific to that service only. I could look at schools specific to that service only, contacts, etc. So you can look at it from like the district side, but you can also look at it programmatically from the program side. And so our program administrators and coaches can go in and look and really analyze what they're doing and who they're engaging with and how they might want to adapt service based on that. And I guess the last piece is you can also, I was trying to get in, I forget, but if you go into, those aren't all.
That's me.
Those aren't all of our
I'm logged in.
services. Oh, because you're logged in, so I can't see all the. So there's another piece of this where you can get in and you're actually able to see, if I'm in 9th grade on track, I can actually see my individual engagements and what they have put in there. So they've clicked in and you can see they've met with so-and-so on these different, it has a list of every single engagement. So they're able to track what they're doing and who they're meeting with and go back and see notes of what they talked about last time and those types of things. So I'm not gonna make you sit through me trying to get to that piece of it because the system's moving a little slow, but I'm happy to show you another time if you're interested in seeing that side of it.
So with that, so we do have a large focus on our academic departments. They were the first out the gate. So, and my partner in crime here with Megan. And so we've really put an emphasis on that. We're bringing on, our team is working on some database changes that allow us to bring on CTA. So that will allow us to bring on the tech support groups from both MESD and Northwest at the same time. And then we'll follow with more of operations and special education and early childhood departments going through the year. We are in the middle of rebranding it. So for those with quick eyes, you noticed it was once called Cascade ServiceNet, which was my really bad name. Now we have a much more elegant name called Balcony CRM. We have a whole new user interface. And then as I mentioned, we're adding more departments, and then we'll be doing a presentation at OAESD in May. And so as a sneak peek for what we will be able to show at that presentation is what this will look like after we get done refreshing it for the user interface. So a lot more professional, a lot more modern. This was definitely what you saw tonight is definitely our stand-up version that we've been building slowly. But now that we're ready to roll it out, we are very excited to be freshening it up and making it look really professional and something folks will be excited about using every day. So with that, can we answer any questions?
Questions? All right, so we'll go with Ernest first, and then Michelle, and then Dorian, and then I have a few too, so. Ernest,
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hey, Stuart and Megan, I just wanted to say, I'm doing a tech demo live is like the hardest thing in the world. So, really good job on that. My question is, where is the raw data coming from? Is it staff putting things on a phone, or where's it coming from?
We've got multiple data sources we're pulling from. We're pulling from our events database, which is called PD Networks, where all folks register and set up all their events that happen. We're pulling from our local service plan online database. That's where we pull a lot of the numbers and slot costs from. We'll be pulling in from our help desk system. So it really is aggregating. And plus then we have staff entering individual data as they go along and have engagements with districts.
Awesome. Good job, y'all.
thank you. Great. Michelle? Dorian?
Oh, I just want to acknowledge how much work it takes and how wicked awesome this is. As somebody who runs a social services agency that includes a lot of individual data tracking, and as someone who has tried to build data dashboards for various local governments, we'll say with varying degrees of success, it is a ton of work to collect the data, to wrangle the data that people give you, to clean it up, to visualize it, to make it accessible, to make sure that it's updated regularly, to make sure that it's accurate. Y'all made that look so glossy and so easy, but holy smokes, folks, so much work goes into that. I'm just fangirling over here because this is awesome. I'm excited for the even more like graphic designy, beautiful version, but even if it wasn't getting that facelift, this is incredible. Like to have that much information about the people that we're serving and to be able to see outcomes on a population level is not something a lot of local governments or education service districts can do. I'm so excited for your presentation. Like, I don't even have a question. I just wanted to say, y'all rock.
Thank you.
That's a lot of work. Holy moly.
Yes.
We've got a good team.
Yeah, we do.
Any other?
I have comments if you have questions.
I've got some questions. First of all, what was the cost of this software?
The cost of staff time. We built it.
We built it, so it was
Yeah,
not purchased from anybody.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so this is like these systems for education, they really do not exist. We found one in Nebraska that was pretty, like we really liked a lot. This is, at least in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, completely cutting edge. This doesn't exist. So one of the things that we're hopeful to do here is to help other ESDs and ESAs across the country have an option for an enterprise service that will help them measure stuff like we are. So and by we, it's them, these guys built this system from the ground up.
So that means that when you present this at the conference, there would be an opportunity for other ESDs to come to you folks and for you to share with them how to put this together for their, correct?
It is already set up to allow for all the ESDs are actually in the system already, and it's already set up for partnerships like CTA or the McRen, and so you can track data across multiple ESDs and ESDs alone. And so, yes, for purchase.
Yeah, I got that for purchase. I got that.
Yeah. I'm being polite.
So, and great innovation, great entrepreneurship. I mean, that's great. So now going back to your staff time. Is that calculated there somewhere in your great chart here of what are you just ballparking it?
We have about a year and a half of, we have a year and a half of one developer's, programmer's time in on it, plus our time managing the project off and on through the week. So I can do a total for you if you're interested, but it has been about a year and a half in the works.
The reason I'm so interested in this is, and then my really question is why? I mean, obviously, this is unbelievable, but to what, why?
So, so as when Megan started, she said, remember I used to present to you and we'd have all these charts. Basically, our measurement of our success was, does somebody show up at something that we do, right? And then we would count participation. That is really not moving the dial for student achievement. We have no idea about our impact, whether any of our activities are actually moving the dial for kids is one thing. The other is like what level of participation are we actually getting with the school district? Because oftentimes I would go to a school board or work with a superintendent, and it would be like, we don't use you for anything. And then we'd be like, but you're in all this stuff. You've registered for all these things. And they're like, oh, well, we went once and now we didn't go again. And so we would get these arguments kind of around what they were actually participating in our worth. So that started our questioning around how do we actually demonstrate our value to our partners when we go out to school boards with you all? Like, how do we actually demonstrate the number of touches and the hours and what we're doing? The next phase of this, and I'm really surprised that Megan didn't go there in her presentation. But
Because you keep telling me to wait.
Congratulations.
You keep telling me it's version.
Is to get student achievement data in here related to our programming. We have to start with just like measuring our actions and then before we get so granular. But the idea is that we're going to map student achievement related to the strategies that we're after and the things that our staff are involved in. And then we can actually talk about the value of ESDs in a region for student achievement for the state of Oregon. So that is where we're at.
That's where my questioning was going. My question was, I'm glad that you've explained, and I would love from the other end of not so much how, it's very important that we show our districts where we are value added. But I'd much rather be able to, when I am sitting at the Board of Education and talking about this accountability bill and where we do not talk about the role of ESDs, to be able to share this back of where exactly ESDs can play in this accountability piece.
So Nebraska's done something really unique that we're probably going to lean into as we build this out, which is they have taken their services across the state and literally coded them together so they can align their work from ESD to ESD to ESD. So at a state level, you can talk about the ESD system at their legislative level. And I think that's another long-term goal of ours, is to be able to scale this up as well as down to the kids, but also up to the state level system.
And yeah, and then I think there's like a medium spot to what, Dan, and Madam Chair, you're talking about, right? Which is like, we have the participation piece, and the question is like, what's happening between that and kids, right? Like, we're helping adults to change practice. And so a lot of our teams have already built and are collecting data around implementation rubrics. Like, are we seeing practices change? And so the goal would be in this system eventually to be able to have like the participation in the hours, how teachers and teams are performing on changing their implementation, what we're seeing in rubrics when we go out and do observations of teams, of teachers, of things like that. So you can see, is the practice changing? And then the associated, like, if practice changes, then we should see student outcomes change. And so then having that in there. And so there's a piece where we're able to connect some of the steps to show the impact of like this many hours created this change in practice, supported, this change in student outcomes across the region.
A phenomenal piece of information to do. Yeah, Ernest.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So Dan, Megan and Stuart, have we have we thought about opportunities to integrate some of this with the work we're doing with workforce, or is there an opportunity to integrate there, maybe support? Yeah, I'm just curious if we've thought about that at all.
Yes, we're in talks with Adam and his team. They're really excited. I mean, in their ideal world, they want to build this out so it's not just like staff touches, right? But it's actually like calculating like student opportunities, student hours, doing career connected learning, student hours of internships. I mean, there's a whole nother piece that's going to be a different build out. But yes, they were happy to engage with us on the staff PD and like that piece of it. But they were like, what we really want is this, which is what's been really fun about designing this from the ground up, is this has been all done with our teams. Like our 9th grade success team led a lot of this very early. They were already doing this work in spreadsheets, and we were trying to do it, and we were like, wait, they're doing it. So like we brought them in, and then they helped us to design it, right? So the people who are actually inputting the stuff into the system are the ones who are helping us to design, provide feedback, and make adaptations and changes, so that we make sure it works for them too, right? Like if it doesn't work for the provider, like the people who are going out and doing service, they're not going to use the system. So yes, and we haven't quite figured out how to track that part yet, but we will get back to you.
That's awesome. Thank
One
you.
other piece on that is we have, Ernest, we do have a region-wide instance of a college career readiness software program, called School Links. And so 18 of our 20 districts are in that program. And it's where kids interface with possible internships, college applications, all that kind of stuff. So we are going to have a robust system where kids are actually engaged on the daily in their schools where we can pull that information from. So we'll, that'll be another year and a half, but we're going to get there.
Great. Doug?
Thank you. The only thing that kept flashing in my head was longitudinal data analysis, that you could utilize that with a variety of instructional strategies. And then you could identify interventions that have worked and by place, and just all of this is very exciting. And it provides all types of opportunities for school districts and ESDs to see things with a different scope. And I just, I'm very happy that you're going in this direction.
Any other? Well, this is exciting stuff and job well done. And I think the applications are going to be endless. And I think you're going to get a lot of people's attention around this state because we need systems, and this provides a really strong system. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Our next report is policies, JOA, AC, IKE. Catherine?
Madam Chair, members of the board, this truly is just as exciting as the balcony CRM. Maybe not as exciting, but very important. So just want to give a shout out to our BPAC committee that's really committed to the process of reviewing the policies and procedures from the lens of equity. And so today we just have 3 policies for first reading. The first one is JOA, Directory Information. And we really had some robust discussion about this at BPAC as far as striking a good balance of making sure our limits of information that we share are not precluding students from accessing opportunities, with making sure that we're being very mindful of protecting our student data. So there's that for your consideration. Also, policy AC, non-discrimination. And that actually, we had some, during the Biden era, there were some updates to these policies. And then when Trump was in office, we reverted back to some 2020 regulations. And so the updates on the policy AC are to make sure we're in compliance with those 2020 regulations. And then finally, policy IKF, graduation requirements. It's not that we don't want graduation requirements. It's just that the students that we serve in our SEL school programs, high school diplomas are awarded by their component district. And so therefore, we follow the graduation requirements and offer transcripts so that they can be in compliance with their school district's board policy on graduation. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? My only question is just what you just said here. Hasn't that always been the case so why did we have that policy there for?
That was the question. And so we kicked that around as a team and we decided it's really misleading to have that in our suite of policies right now. We may get to the point where we do award our own diplomas, and at such time, then we would bring a policy like this back for your consideration.
It hasn't been, the last time it was looked at is 2017.
Okay.
It's been a while.
And then my other one, and I know a lot of school districts are also wrestling with the directory policy. So it's not just something that we're looking at, many school districts do too. Can you give an example of the students that we do serve that by removing some of this information, what kind of things that perhaps that they would not be privy to if we remove some of the information in the directory?
A lot of times it's access to scholarships, athletic scholarships or academic scholarships. So there's some information that is needed to be shared for those types of opportunities. That's really primarily what we're after with some of that.
Any go around with that? I mean, is there any other?
Also, you know, for as far as transcripting for entering college, that we're able to release the information to any prospective college applicant. Dates of attendance, again, for transcripting and for information, for historical information, for longitudinal tracking as well.
Are you, can I clarify?
Sure.
Because what I just thought I heard you ask is, because we're striking some of this, what will kids not then be able to access?
Right.
Is that correct? Is that how you heard it?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Our conversation, and Ernest is on that committee, and Dorian is on that committee. Our conversation is in the current context of the way that data is being used and shared, and that we wanted to limit to the greatest degree possible kids being able to be profiled. And so some of this stuff here, and also give people still an opportunity to be in yearbooks, right? And those kinds of things, because that's when you opt out, and this is an opt-out, parents would need to opt out of directory information. You basically opt out of all that, anything with publication from the school. So it's a really tough thing for a parent to be like, hey, I want my kid out of the yearbook, or all these other normal things that you think of in high school or in school in general. So I'm going to keep them there, but I'm going to expose my child to, potential intrusions by, our government entities right now. So, and AI companies or whatever. So we're trying to get really restrictive here.
I absolutely understand the why. I just want to make sure that when I am voting on this next, that I'm understanding that there may be a trade-off. And I just wanted to understand if there was a trade-off, what kind of trade-off we were making. So I absolutely understand the why and behind it. I just want to be able to vote with the conscience that I understood what we could be getting.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing is the superintendent evaluation. And we have that provided in the board book to all of the board members. And, several of us have been involved in this as we served on our local school district's board of directors. So we have done the evaluation, process locally with our ESD is a little bit different place but we still have one employee that the board is responsible for. And I have to say, this is a very thorough process. And again, as I talk to, this is a piece that school board members, school board directors, directors like we are at the ESD, this is one of the biggest things that they struggle with, is doing this. Because you want to know what it is that you're looking for in your employee and in your, and why you do what we do. And I, not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but I think we do a pretty fair and balanced job of trying to get to why we do the evaluation and doing the evaluation in a big way. And, our evaluation is our surveys to our stakeholders, and our stakeholders are all the districts that we deal with. That's very different than, it is the cabinet that the superintendent works with on a daily basis. Then it's to us, the board. And what we talk about so much of the time is we get to see this one employee at board meetings, if we go to other sort of events, but we are not there on a day-to-day basis, but we are responsible for doing a job to evaluate. So we take all of this information in, and with the great help of Valerie of keeping us on task, and then we have a committee that looks at it first, and then we meet an executive committee, and we give more input, and then we finally put together a letter. And I'm not going to read the full letter, but all of this to say, our Superintendent Gold, received, met with board leadership, as in the vice chair and myself, and we discussed, and we went through this, but our superintendent receives exceeding on many, many important areas. And he is very humble in how you give him that feedback. He doesn't want, he talks a lot about his team and the superintendents that he works with around, and you can just see what a great collaborator, what a great leader, and we'll be the first to admit, as we did, doesn't mean absolutely every single thing is perfect and there's no room for improvement. I know that, but that room for improvement is small compared to the big task at hand. So with that, we are very confident as a board to give the superintendent high marks and to extend a contract for the next year, and we will work together on our goals. And we all, I will speak on behalf of the board and welcome any of you to that. We look forward to another year of partnership, and it truly is a partnership. It is a partnership between the board, between the superintendent, and it is a partnership that we are proud to have as a working partnership. So with that, well, to any other comments that board members would like to make, or superintendent, if you would like to make.
God.
So.
I'll leave it to y'all.
So
First, and then
Maureen?
Yeah, I thank you, Chair. That was a wonderful recap. And I think I just really want to emphasize just what Megan and Stuart showed us. I think having a leader that really values, what is the risk to say, hey, we're just going to build our own. We're going to invest the resources, do what's right, and make it work well and impact students. That seems obvious, but it's not always typical. It's what I'm feeling as I put a few years behind me. And so I just appreciate you and that kind of leadership. So thank you.
Any other comments? Superintendent?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much. It really is, it's like a life honor to serve such an amazing organization and to try to make an impact on people's lives. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity, a positive impact, by the way. I appreciate the opportunity. And I do talk about my team and the team at Northwest Regional a lot, because that's what it's all about. And we have incredible talent here at the ESD. I just want the board to know how incredibly talented our staff are, and how committed they are. And so it does make my job doable and enjoyable and fulfilling. So I just appreciate the opportunity and of course appreciate the critical feedback, and and we'll keep at it and keep at doing the good work. So I just appreciate the time that you spend on my evaluation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I appreciate the board and especially the committee's work on, and Valerie, thank you so much for the work of getting that done and doing it so thoroughly. So thank you. All right, next order of business are administrative reports. Superintendent.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I'm happy to answer any questions about the reports this week or this month, excuse me. They are chock full of amazing things. I know Eva Mandison is here, our CCR&R coordinator. She wrote up a really good report. I think it was timed because we're going to be out here in Tillamook or something. So really appreciate that work. I thought it was very interesting, things that the board doesn't typically hear about. Our child care support structure out here in the rural counties. And other than that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Board, any questions for, Michelle?
Yes, and I asked our superintendent earlier about the class of certified medical assistance program proposal and if we got it. And because I, so appreciate anything that we can do to foster an interest in medical education, nursing education, health education, so that we will all be taken care of as we age. Because, there's lots of literature that talks about the, the aging of the healthcare workforce. So it's so important that we start this in high school. And it's not to say that these folks won't be interested with being more than a CNA, that getting into nursing or medical schools or respiratory therapists, speech pathologists that we know here at the ESD, we can use lots of those kind of people. So thank you for being open to making this work.
A perfect example of how we have a great team and I barely know what I'm doing, right? So this is a partnership that Adam Whalen, Misty Wharton, who's in the corner there. Paul even has been involved because he's involved with Jared at Clatsop, and we're trying to really tie these knots together in these different systems to create clear pathways for kids to have meaningful high wage careers where right now there's just a ton of barriers. So it is exciting. I did find out that we'll probably hear within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Thank you.
There you go.
Just a reminder, in case you don't hear, Tillamook Bay Community College does have a certified medical assistant.
Well, drop the mic. All right.
Yes, and I was delighted to see that on our tour.
We'll take care of it.
The more the merrier. All right, any other? All right, so with that, we're going to turn to action items. And our first action item is a big one, to approve the 2024-2025 financial audit. Jordan, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Tim Chuck. Members of the board, it's good to be with you all today in Tillamook. I love it out here. I think late last month, I honestly don't remember already when we met, but I think it was late last month, I met with Vice Chair Wolf and Director Stevens to go over the annual comprehensive financial report in more detail. In your packet, the ACFR and a slide deck are both included. The slide deck was written with a little bit more words. I won't go through the whole thing so that you could read through it and have hyperlinks to the document and things like that. I'm going to just touch on some high points, and then I will ask Vice Chair Wolf or Director Stevens to let me know if I miss anything that you think is germane for the board. I think the top level thing that I don't want to bury the lead is that we did not have any findings in our audit this year. And so the purpose of an ACFR is to have an independent expert, if you will, that serves at the pleasure of the board, analyze our financial statements to ensure that the way that we are reporting complies with governmental accounting standards, best practices in accounting, and that we meet all the letter of the law within the state of Oregon. And so they assess our financials. They are also looking for the internal controls that we have to ensure that we are being good stewards of the public's resources. When I say good stewards of the public's resources, though, I need to be clear that what they are not assessing is whether how we spent our money was effective, or whether it pursued the board's strategic objectives, things like that. That all still sits with this body, not with the auditors. The auditors are ensuring that we have processes and protocols in place that ensure that when we say we are paying a vendor, let's say to do construction on the CASPAC annex, that money went to that vendor and not to some other actor. That when we say we're paying an employee, that's who's getting paid, things like that. That's the purpose of our internal control. So we did have a clean audit with no deficiencies, Oregon minimum standards, anything like that noted. This does mean that our financial statements are accurate to the extent that we can verify and that the auditors can verify, and that our internal controls are sufficient for known risks. And the reason I say it that way is because we live in a very dynamic time. And so having internal controls that meet or exceed best practices does not mean that we are impervious, but it does mean that we have met a reasonable standard within the internal controls that we apply. The costs associated with getting risk to zero when it comes to financial risks would probably well exceed our entire budget by orders of magnitude. So our goal here is not to be completely impervious to any risk. It is to make to take reasonable steps to ensure that we are protecting the financial resources of the agency. I'm not going to go into our economic context and funding reality and all those kinds of things unless you all ask me to, but I can get very long-winded and soapboxy on those things, and so I'm just going to hop right past that. Our key governance takeaways were that the statements were independently audited. Again, our auditors serve at the pleasure of the board. Staff do not direct the auditors in any way. In practice, really, they are directing us throughout the process as your representatives. Our internal controls are in place. The funding that is required by state law to be directed to districts has been directed to districts. That is one of the things that they check for with ESDs. It's a unique aspect of an audit for an ESD that a district doesn't have to deal with, of course. Our grant activity is all in compliance, both at the state and the federal level. And that we have a reasonable long-term outlook that we've presented to the board based on known economic indicators. So that's another thing that the auditors look at is if I'm saying in the management discussion and analysis that I think we're going to have a $17 billion budget next year, and the reason why is because we're going to build the first helium-filled blimp or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. I don't know. That somebody can be there and be like, this CFO is not being truthful to the board, and this is not a reasonable basis of expectation for revenues. So our future revenue expectations, the things that we discussed throughout the document, have been assessed to be reasonable. That doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with everything I said. It just means that there's a reasonable basis for why I'm making those kinds of projections. There are some financial risks that we need to watch. It has nothing to do with our internal controls. And I don't think any of this will be news, but I think it's good to put it on the record. State funding volatility is going to be a problem. We've received several indications from legislators. The public education system in Oregon has contracted since COVID, and funding has not contracted with it. And so we're getting a lot of questions. That's a big part of the accountability bill. And so hopefully the work that we are doing as an ESD will help our districts advocate and weather that particular volatility. But even if that part was taken completely out, we are in a situation right now where the president of the United States has said openly, I'm not making a political statement, I'm just sharing what he said, that the federal government can't be responsible for healthcare, for childcare, things like that the states need to take those things over and start taxing people more and different things like that. To the extent that that's real, I don't know. But we've already seen cuts to Medicaid and Medicare expansion that Oregon was supposed to be participating in. And now our state has to figure out how to deal with those things. Do we leave people without health care? Or do we backfill those things? And our state has an incredibly difficult task in front of them. So I'm not trying to cast aspersions or anything like that. We just have a lot of volatility at the state level that we need to be ready for in the coming years. Federal grant uncertainty, I think what I just talked about probably demonstrates why we have volatility at the federal level, so I won't go into that. Rising personnel and program costs. We are bargaining with both units this year. We, at this point in time, do not know exactly what it's going to cost us to employ people next year and beyond. But we do know that our staff are experiencing inflation and market forces and all kinds of things that we are all experiencing. And so this is going to be a really difficult, I think, bargain for those reasons. And I think both sides that are going to be represented at those tables have very reasonable arguments for why we are advocating the way that we are. But it's just going to be difficult. And at this time, unknown and unknowable. And same thing with legislative uncertainty. So to sum up, though, what the Act demonstrates is that we have transparent financial reporting, we have strong governance and oversight, our state and federal funding are in compliance, and that our planning, our long-term planning that we have discussed with the board is tied to reasonable expectations of revenue. And with that, I'll stop there and take any questions.
Any questions from board members? Comments?
Congratulations on a clean audit.
Yeah,
Thank
that's always
you.
good. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Maureen?
Yeah, and Ernest, please chime in as well. Jordan, I just wanted to thank you and your team to that point, right? All things thumbs up, and clean audit is always what you're striving for. And I just think the presentation, how you think holistically for the ESD in our financial current and long-term outlook is, I just appreciate all the work, and congratulations to the team and the award. And yeah, just thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Ernest, anything else to add?
No, I'd just like the board to know that during the audit committee meeting, there was no real reason to push and test Jordan more, right, on this, but we did it anyway, right? Just to be sure, and just to have like one more level of assurance, and everything came out great. So good job, y'all.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for the very thorough slide deck and all the information to the board. Appreciate that. And we just know that, you know, you can't make up the numbers, and you can only spend with what you have. And so, thank you for the clean audit. So
Thank you.
job well done to you and your staff. Okay, the next order of business is, it's an action item. That's right. We have to actually adopt. All right, I'm ready.
I move we approve the audit as presented.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the 2024-2025 financial audit. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the audit signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously passes.
Thank you.
Now, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next resolution is 26-012, Licensed Appreciation Week. Catherine?
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the board, in March is the legislatively designated Classified Appreciation Week, and the first week in May is traditionally the Licensed Appreciation Week. So I've brought to you a resolution to proclaim May 4th through 8th Licensed Appreciation Week. And with your permission, I'd like to read the resolution for the record.
Absolutely.
Okay. So a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Northwest Regional Education Service District in Clatsop, Columbia, Tillamook, and Washington counties, Oregon, proclaiming May 4th through 8th, 2026 Licensed Employee Appreciation Week. Whereas licensed employees, including teachers and other licensed professionals, play a vital role in supporting the learning, development, and well-being of children, students, families, and educators across our region. And whereas licensed employees serve individuals with diverse backgrounds, abilities, and needs through direct services, family-centered support, and collaboration with educational and community partners. And whereas licensed employees contribute to the success of our region by providing instruction, early learning supports, consultation, and professional learning that strengthen both individual outcomes and educational systems. And whereas licensed employees dedicate countless hours to the planning, assessment, instruction, coaching, counseling, therapy, and collaboration and service to others. And whereas the commitment and expertise of licensed employees are essential to ensuring equitable access to high-quality services and supports. And whereas our community recognizes and values the significant contributions of all licensed employees in serving children, students, families, and educators. Now therefore be it resolved that the Northwest Regional ESD Board of Directors proclaims May 4th through 8th, 2026 to be Licensed Employee Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Northwest Regional ESD Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in expressing appreciation to our licensed employees for their dedication, professionalism, and commitment to those they serve.
Great. Any comments? Questions? Just, it doesn't seem like a resolution is enough. Doesn't seem like thank you is enough. It is a very difficult time to be certified or classified staff. But I'm glad that there is a week that is dedicated that we can focus and say thank you for all. And we're very fortunate to have such a great staff here at the Northwest Regional ESD. So thank you for bringing that to us. Is there a motion?
So move to adopt the resolution, what number it is already, 2612.
Russell, second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2612 for Licensed Appreciation Week. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, next order of business is Resolution 26-013, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Oahu.
Hello, greetings.
Yes.
We're getting right. Yeah, oh, nice. On microphone. Hello. I'm getting right into this exciting resolution, working with our team in our community. We have a resolution, and I will go forward and read it as per usual. We have resources that are available at the end of the resolution. Make sure that there's a variety of ways in which we're able to make this proclamation something that is actionable. One is learning for both the individuals who are reading it, our educators for themselves, as well as resources for their use within classrooms. Not only for ourselves, but hopefully the districts that we serve may find these as useful resources as well. So whereas May is recognized as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, an annual observance honoring the histories, cultures, and contributions of Asian American and Pacific Islander communities in the United States, and whereas the recognition of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month began in 1978 as Asian Pacific Heritage Week, was expanded to a month in 1990 and was officially designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in 1992, commemorating historic events such as the arrival of the first Japanese immigrants on May 7th of 1843, the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10th of 1869, built with the labor of Chinese immigrant workers. And whereas the history of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States is shaped by profound contributions and by struggles, including exclusionary immigration laws, wartime internment, the impact of weapons testing in the Pacific, and the rise of anti-Asian harassment and violence, including a surge of anti-Asian xenophobia during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas AAPI communities are richly diverse, representing dozens of ethnicities and hundreds of languages, and are an integral part of the cultural, civic, and economic life of the region served by Northwest Regional ESD. Our region includes sizable Asian American Pacific Islander populations among students, families, and residents, and we are committed to centering their voices and experiences in district work. And whereas the board affirms the importance of culturally sustaining instruction, family partnership, staff professional learning, mental health supports, and supports responsive to cultural context, support for AAPI-led community partners, and proactive strategies to prevent and respond to anti-Asian American and Pacific Islander harassment and hate. And now therefore be it resolved that the Northwest Regional Education Service District proclaims May 1st to 31st as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, encourages students, staff, families, and the broader community to celebrate and learn from the Asian American Pacific Islander histories, cultures, and contributions, and affirms that honoring AAPI Heritage Month is an opportunity to teach accurate history, including both achievements and injustices, to uplift AAPI voice, and to actively center xenophobia, racism, and harassment. Counter it, supports staff professional learning and student learning by supporting teachers with ready-to-use, grade-appropriate resources and primary sources, so AAPI history is taught as part of ongoing curriculum, not as a token month, and urges all individuals to participate in celebrations, educational events, and community activities that honor the achievement, resilience, and cultures of Asian American and Pacific Islander communities.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2613, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month as presented.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded that the board adopts resolution 26-13 for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have a comment.
Yes.
So Laurel, I love how you put these together and the resources and the depth that you provide. So do you ever get feedback from classrooms and educators on how they leverage it? I just really appreciate it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know we've shared that before.
Yeah,
but-
I appreciate that. So a lot of the feedback that we get actually comes in other professional development and working opportunities that we have. And we'll talk about how we'll ask and check in with staff about, how are you making actionable the things that you learn? How are you bringing a variety of different cultures into the classroom? And through that is where we usually get the feedback on, well, I've utilized this particular resource. And some times I've actually gleaned for the resolution. So I'll kind of put a note down for the next resolution, some resources, and usually it's immediately on the nest. I'll post information regarding it that they'll bring to the table. So some of our educators have brought that through our equity learning teams is usually how that comes about.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chair.
Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, our next resolution is resolution 26-014, Jewish American Heritage Month.
Yes, thank you. For the month of May, it's also recognizing quite a variety of communities. And each month we think about how we are connecting and utilizing information. So the same approach as before in terms of resources and reaching out to community to get feedback on this resolution was done, and appreciation was shown for our ESD elevating learning, growth, and recognition in these particular areas, particularly within the Jewish community, and the feedback that I got for this resolution. So I will read this. Whereas Jewish Americans are ethnically and culturally diverse, with roots across the globe and a rich variety of customs, languages, and traditions, and recognizes the long and continuing contribution of Jewish Americans to the arts, sciences, business, education, civic life, and public service, and promotes increased understanding of Jewish cultures and histories. And whereas celebrating Jewish American Heritage Month offers an opportunity to learn about Jewish history, culture, and contributions, while also strengthening understanding across diverse communities. And whereas Jewish American students, families, and staff too often experience discrimination and xenophobia and stereotyping, and the recognition of Jewish American Heritage Month is an opportunity for Northwest Regional ESD to reaffirm its commitment to reject prejudice, protect civil rights, and cultivate welcoming, safe, and affirming learning environments for all. And whereas schools and educators can play a central role in reducing prejudice, combating anti-Semitism and all forms of religious discrimination, and teaching about the contributions of Jewish Americans as part of its inclusive curriculum. And whereas the integrating Jewish American histories, literature, language, and perspectives into classroom instruction and school activities supports culturally sustaining pedagogy, deepens students' historical and civic understanding, and prepares learners to participate respectfully and effectively in a diverse democracy. And whereas the Northwest Regional Education Service District is committed to fostering inclusion, respect, and belonging for all students, staff, and families, and to promoting culturally responsive learning and community partnership. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Northwest Regional Education Service District Board of Directors, we recognize May as Jewish American Heritage Month and honors the many contributions Jewish Americans have made and continue to make in our schools, communities, and nation, and encourages our staff and component districts to provide meaningful and authentic opportunities for students, educators, and families to engage with Jewish American history, culture, and contributions, such as specific lesson plans, assemblies, guest speakers, library materials, and community partnerships in ways that show respect for the diversity of Jewish identities and experiences. We encourage Northwest Regional ESD and component districts to partner with Jewish American community organizations and cultural institutions to ensure authentic community voices and perspectives are centered in educational activities and celebration, and affirms our ongoing commitment to equity, understanding, and belonging for students, staff, and families of Jewish descent, and to the development of learning environments that value diverse identities and experience. And the superintendent or their designee is directed to distribute this resolution to our staff, component districts, and families and community partners.
I move that Northwest Regional ESD approve resolution number 26014, Jewish American Heritage Month as presented.
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded that the board adopt resolution 26-014, Jewish American Heritage Month. Is there any discussion on the motion? Just really appreciate you bringing this to us. With that, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our last action item is an at-large vacancy declaration and appointment process. Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, we have one term on the board that is expiring at the end of this year, and that is the at-large appointed position held by Vice Chair Wolf over here. According to our policy, we need to talk about and approve our process in public session, and then we'll get going. So I do want to recognize that in the cover sheet here, there was an error where it says at large at the top in higher ed, Paul.
Yeah, we thought you were going. We thought you were gone.
You are sworn in blood for some time
This was
now.
my out.
So sorry about that error, but the rest of the work is accurate. So Valerie helped by putting, of course, together this board vacancy timeline. This mirrors the other appointed positions that we've had in the last couple of years. So same process, just different dates. So April 8th is now, and the board is declaring that the position is open. We'll post it on our website and also in our papers of record. The application will close in a few weeks, and then which will give us enough time to get that stuff back, put the materials into the board packet for May 6th, excuse me, and then the board will do a paper review, an application review, and deliberate. So with that, are there any questions? I put the relevant board policies here. Are there any questions or I can clarify?
Although it says I'm expiring, hopefully that's not the plan. But I did just want to share that I will be applying for another term, just so that you all know. Appreciate the opportunity to have served and look forward to conversations in May. But I just wanted you all to know that. So
I move we approve the process for filling the at-large vacancy.
Russell, second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the process for filling the at-large vacancy. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, with that, we're gonna have ending comments, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call the superintendent
Yeah.
first,
Yes.
and then I'm gonna see if there's any board comments.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We were whispering at each other. So we had an unfortunate thing happen this week where the sale of our former Hillsborough Early Childhood Center that the board approved, that we have our counter offer, that sale fell through. And so we're back in the same position we were just a couple of weeks ago with our realtor moving to with other, leads to try to sell the property. So I just wanted the board to know that that had just happened at the beginning of this week, and c'est la vie. We'll keep working on it.
All right, with that, are there any board comments? Comments? Yes.
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. I hope you enjoyed the place. And if you have nothing to do a week from Saturday, you can come out again because we're having an open campus, open house Saturday, the 18th at 1 o'clock, and dedicating the plaza to a gentleman in this area. Many of you may know him from the past, a gentleman named John Carnahan, who served as Lynn Benton Community College's president for a career. I think close to 20 years, came out of retirement when, as I was telling the group that was here earlier, when Tillamook Bay Community College operated out of what is currently now the Tillamook School District office over on First Street, which was at the time a mortuary. We got our starts. We've come a long way. He has been very influential in all of that. He helped us get the bond for the original building that we had over here next door. He even served a couple terms as president for the college, served as president of the foundation for the college, didn't chair, I guess, but facilitated our bond campaign to get the bond for this building. So he has had quite an arc with this institution, and I'm very pleased to be able to dedicate that plaza that sort of, as the dude would say, it's the rug that ties the room together. It is the space that sort of ties the campus together and the community together. So I'm really, really proud of that. So John Carnan, he turned 80 and he will be here for that dedication.
Oh.
And so we're real excited about that. And we'll have all of our other buildings open and lots of show and tell things, lots of food, fun games for the kids and that kind of thing. Just a good community event. So put that out there. But again, I thank you all for coming, and you still have a little bit of daylight if you're driving back over Highway 6, which is always nice, right?
Well, thank you so much for having us and giving us a great tour and being a great host. And you and your staff and your community should be very proud of this new addition. It is lovely. It is full of life and light and great opportunity for your community to be able to provide so many great work opportunities. And so a job well done. And I'm so glad that we got
Always
to.
sunny in Tillamook.
Yeah. Until it's not. But anyway, thank you so much for having us. With that, our meeting will be early next month. It'll be May 6th. On your board book, it said it'll be at the Astoria School District office. Wait, it may not, might be someplace there but we're not quite sure where it's going to be, but it will be on May 6th. So I will see you all again on May 6th. And with that, we are adjourned.
See you guys. Thank you.